And just like that, the Promised Neverland's first arc has finally come to a close. Now, before I begin, I would like to quickly state, if you hear any rain in the background, there's a storm passing over, there's nothing really I can do about it, and it's already late. I've been waiting a while for the storm to pass, but it's not, so I just decided, you know what, fuck it, I want to record it. If there's some background noise with the rain, there's nothing I can do about it. So, just FYI, if you hear anything in the background, even the lights might flicker or turn off too, that would suck if that happened. But anyways, though, getting into the point, this chapter closes the first arc of The Promised Neverland, and my god, has it been a ride. This series has surpassed all expectations, chapter after chapter, to twist after twist, to color page after color page. The popularity of this series has grown exponentially. And the way it's going, I'm seeing a very similar pattern here with Boku no Hero Academia. And what I'm getting at is I remember when I first started reading Boku no Hero, when it first started coming out, like the first couple chapters are out, I remember seeing how it slowly gained popularity and many people were jumping on board, becoming fans of this series. I see that exact same pattern being applied to The Promised Neverland, and it makes me very happy because one of the big things about, series and Weekly Shonen Jump, if they receive a lot of color pages, it proves that they are gaining popularity in Weekly Shonen Jump. There's a lot of readers that are starting to back this series, and because of all these color pages it constantly gets, it's even going to have one for next chapter. It just proves that this series is very popular right now, and it's gaining a lot of steam. And I would say, give it another year, we might have an anime announcement. I'm not even joking. I mean, if this series continues to do good, 1 year from now, easily it's going to get an anime announcement, which I am pretty excited for when it does. I would love to see this arc animated because of how good it was. I mean, just think about it. I mean, think about what this arc has done. This was just the first arc of The Promised Neverland. The first arc. And we got all this development, all these details about the characters and all of that. Just imagine what the writer of this series can do with the future arcs. I mean, there's so many paths that this series can take. I've talked about it so many times. We don't even know if this is going to turn into a typical battle manga, a survival manga. We really have no idea because, I mean, for all we know, eventually our characters might gain some form of abilities or powers or something. Or maybe it'll stick down to, realism to where, they just have to fight against the strong foe, which are demons, and they just have to fight as children or regular, human beings. That would be really cool as well. We don't really know what direction the writer wants to take the series. I mean, on top of that, this next upcoming arc is looking like it's going to be very good and has a lot of potential because there can be some really cool stuff going on here because it's going to turn into like a survival manga where the characters have to find a home, they're on the run and all that, they have to, find where they can get food, water, all of this and stay in a safe location. I'm really looking forward to seeing where the writer wants to take this upcoming arc, and I really hope there isn't a time skip because, I mean, think about it. I mean, wouldn't it be really cool to see Emma and Ray and all of them just trying to find a home for themselves, making a home, surviving, cooking meals, surviving through winter, and all this type of stuff, trying to do something like that? Imagine how cool that would be to read, seeing these children coming together and working together, trying to figure out a way to survive, and then eventually, once they build up, go back and save the children. I mean, I really, 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 really hope the writer of the series does not give us a time skip, like, jump 6 months to a year in the future. I would really not like that because it would feel like a waste, honestly. Unless the time skip is done in a very good way, then I'm willing to accept it. But I mean, it feels like it would be a waste if the writer wants to do a big time skip, because I would love to see how they start off, surviving. It reminds me a lot of, like, Dr. Stone, for instance. I mean, if you've been reading Dr. Stone, it's also kind of like a survival manga as well, and I would love to see this in The Promised Neverland, seeing them trying to survive. But anyways, though, let's talk about the main beef of this chapter, like the main importance, the stuff that is going to get everybody talking, and that is Isabel. She is a character that is, you can consider the main obstacle of the first arc. She was the antagonist. I guess besides the demons, she was the antagonist, always trying to keep the children in check. And personally, I've never really hated Isabelle. I've never really hated her as a person. I mean, she's done some very despicable and disgusting things, but I've personally never really hated her. Not as a character, not as a person, because we found out through Sister Chrome that there is a very warped upbringing in this form. For instance, the children that were raised, when they find out that there's demons and all this, they eventually have the chance to become, a mother. And then, they can become a helper or whatever, which that's what Sister Chrome became. And we saw how her life was changed, messed up, how she fought for her own survival. For instance, it's in our instincts to always seek survival. For instance, throw everybody else under the bus to be able to survive. That's just in our natural born instincts as human beings. That's what we do. And seeing Sister Chrome do something like that, seeing what Isabelle has done this entire time, it just goes with how, human beings really are, how we will throw anyone under the bus to just seek our own survival. And that's the reason why I've really never disliked, Sister Chrome or, Isabelle, because they always were doing it for their own reasons. It's thanks to the circumstances and their upbringing that led them to be like they are, and why they do these type of things, these evil things. And like I said, I'm not saying that they are in the right either. I mean, they still had a choice to probably throw their own selves under the bus, but once again, that goes back to, our natural born instincts. The point is, though, is that the reason why they act like they are, they're trying to make the best of what they can, of a very shitty situation. Like, if the situation's already as bad as it possibly can be, I mean, it's basically pointless. I mean, until what we just saw in this chapter, with the children finally escaping, but from all the other previous, people that found out about the demons and all that became mothers, sisters, whatever, they know how bad it is, and they're just trying to do whatever they can to be able to survive. And in some ways, them surviving is kind of like they're rejecting the demons, saying like, I won't let you eat me and all that, and they continue to try to reject what they want and try to survive. Now, speaking of Isabelle as a character, okay, I've talked about Sister Chrome in depth, and some of the things I applied to her can be applied to, Isabelle as well, because of what she has done, especially the reveals in this chapter. But there was one moment in this chapter that truly hit my heartstrings, and I feel like it's going to hit a lot of people's heartstrings, because it was something that I saw circulating. It's something that has been mentioned before. It didn't come out of nowhere. I've seen many talk about it, that there was a possibility Ray could be, the child of Isabelle. I've seen this mentioned already many times, so it's not something I was unaware of, or the potential possibility that could happen. But what really tugged my heartstrings was the fact that Isabelle discovered who Ray was. Ray wasn't just a child that had good memories. He wasn't just a child that was being like a lapdog for Isabelle, delivering her information. He was also Isabelle's actual child. Blood-related child. This really puts things into perspective. I mean, how Isabelle tolerated Ray in the first place, why she didn't just ship him off when he discovered the secret, it makes a lot of sense now, because even though Isabelle was someone that did a lot of awful things to survive, she also had that motherly instinct deep within her. That shit doesn't go away easily. That doesn't. And her standing up and trying to in some way give love to Ray, it shows. It really shows how much she was trying to hold back. And it shows that because of how she treated him. And that was sad when you see Ray ask, like, why was I born, Mama? Like, why was I born? And then she replies, basically, for I could survive. And it all clicks right there. You're like, that I understand now. See, all the mothers, when they get their position and all that, they have to have a child. The sister as well, like Sister Chrome. They all individually had to have a child. And those children are put into, the plants and all that to be, raised and eventually become food for the demons or whatever. And this shows how that happens, how we have this farm going on, how it constantly reproduces and the more children pop up. But at the same time, though, it's messed up because normal circumstances, something like this wouldn't happen. For instance, like a mother finding out who their child was, because normally a child doesn't have that type of condition that Ray has, to where, you can remember things while you're still in the womb. Stuff like that doesn't normally happen. It's a very rare case. And so it would explain why Ray would be, put into the plantation with, Isabel, because they obviously didn't know that Ray would be that smart. And so, normal circumstances, the mothers would never really know if they're raising their child or not. And so, this issue would never arise in the first place. But it just shows, though, how messed up it is, because a lot of these mothers that are raising these children, they're probably could be raising their own child and then allowing their own child to die. Just imagine how fucked up that is for a second, okay? Knowing that you had a child just to survive, the child is ripped away from you, branded, like got a serial code on them, and then has a tracker implanted in them, delivered to a farm, and then used. For instance, they will be the next source to, for food for the demons. That is really messed up, and that, oh my god, like, that makes me feel bad for Isabel and all of them in there, because that's not something I would wish on anyone. But when she actually realized what she was doing, and she was trying to make her way to the top, she realized it was over. Everything she was working for, towards to become, it was gone in that moment. When they initiated their escape and all that, it was over. Her reputation was just thrown into the mud. She couldn't do anything to salvage it. Even if she does not die, like, let's just go on the off chance to say, even if Isabel doesn't die by the demons or whatever for, losing the children, the point stands is that she's never going to be in power ever again. She's never going to be able to move up in the rankings because of her failure. She is basically going to become someone just probably to make babies, most likely. That's what they're going to use her for until they probably kill her off, one or the other. But, yeah, it's kind of messed up, but I mean, I like how she realized all this, and then she gave up, too. Like, she realized, maybe I gave up too quickly. And then realized, like, you know what? I'll let them go. I'll help them out. It shows this other side to her we haven't seen before. And it shows how deep down she does feel bad for some of her actions she has done. For her to grab, the ropes and stuff and hide them, to her, wishing them sincerely farewell and, wish to find a light at the end of the tunnel, that just shows that she is a good person. Deep down, even though she's warped, she is a good person in some ways, and she wished them the best, because she honestly thought it was impossible for anyone to escape from the farm, and that's why she gave up hope. And that trait is very similar to Ray. Very similar, in fact. I mean, think about Ray's character. He's someone that always gave up hope before anything was said and done. He would look at the worst possible outcome, and then he would kind of give up. And that's kind of how Isabel is, as we can see. She has a very similar trait. I mean, she gave up hope after she saw it, and she's like, you know what, there's nothing we can do. And then she just resigned herself to fate, and then just tried to seek survival and all that, just to resist the demons. And so when she saw that they finally managed to escape, she realized how she gave up too easily, and she realized this, and so she got pretty much the exact same character development Ray got in the past couple chapters, except her character development, she realized it came at a time that was too late. For instance, she realized she doesn't have the chance to, leave, to do what she wants, or to save anyone, because she gave up. She didn't try too hard, and that is like her entire world came crashing down. Her overall purpose as a person came crashing down, because everything that she wanted to accomplish just came crashing down. So yeah, her world got destroyed. She got almost the exact same development Ray got, but it was too late for her to actually have this development put to good use. And then on top of that, just seeing how she lived her life just for the sake of surviving is very, human. So job well done to the mangaka of this series. Very good stuff. I am very surprised that this first arc was this good. And if this is a tease from what I can expect from the remaining parts of this series, I'm super excited to see where it goes. So let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about this finale to the first arc? I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.